Hi, I'm Abhi.
Hi, I'm Madhu.
Hi everyone. We're starting a new show, and it's called Q&A with M&A. Actually, we did a couple of hours of brainstorming to think about what should be the name of our new show. And after a lot of discussion, we finally came up with this name. Do let us know what you think about this name of the show, Q&A with M&A. But by the way, Madhu, what is this show all about?
This show is all about how we spent the last 6 months with inspiring ideas. The number of episodes that we have done so far. It's been a great learning, isn't it, Abhi? Now it's about how we can recap what we have learned. I think the main aim, if you look back, of why we started this journey, it's about what is emerging technologies all about. Where is the world headed to? Secondly, what about the startups and the ecosystem surrounding that? How can we learn a lot in terms of how to be a successful founder, angel investor, and whatnot? And the third most important aspect is we wanted to really help the community in terms of career opportunities surrounding emerging technologies and startup ecosystem as a whole. Is that's the aim with which we started, isn't it?
Absolutely. And Madhu, what we're going to do today is going to be very, very interesting. So in last 6 months, we have done 18 episodes. Okay. So what we're going to do today is that we're going to bring out, a couple of insights from those each episode for all our listeners. We're going to summarize them into one episode. And the challenge that we have today is that we want to do this in less than 30 minutes. So
Go
we
again.
want to cover 18 episodes in less than 30 minutes. Are you ready for the challenge?
I'll try, but I'm ready.
All right, fantastic. I hope everyone likes this. So let's get going without wasting any further time. All right. So we will look at the clock and we try to finish this in next 30 minutes. All right, Madhu, let's start with the first episode.
Yeah, the first episode was fantastic, isn't it? We were all, very, very nervous. We didn't know what a podcast is all about, and we had to do a lot of research around it. And when I reached out to Hugo, he immediately said yes. I was so thrilled, and I came back to you. I said, "Hey, we are going to do this episode with Hugo. We don't know what is it. Maybe we should have some script ready, or so that we'll be more structured." And that's when he said, yes, we have to do a lot of work. And that's when it all started. We had a wonderful script. We did a lot of research about Hugo and what he has done. Amazing personality as a whole, and what he has done to the community is fantastic.
Yeah, I think that was a really challenging one. As you said, Madhu, it was our first episode. But it was interesting. Hugo made us feel so much comfortable when we were doing the recording for that particular show. And he shared his amazing life story. And what I recall from this is that Hugo was diagnosed with dyslexia during his childhood. And many years down the line, he was having a discussion with one of his friends. And his friend said that why, wish technology could help, children in identification of dyslexia. And this joke, actually, Hugo took it seriously. And that was a foundation for starting up his new startup. Okay. And today is a very successful startup. And this shows, Madhu, like, technology, especially the emerging technologies, AIs, data science, can be used for helping the humanity. Because all the time you're hearing so many negative stories all the time, like, AI is going to take away all your jobs and AI is not good. So this is good to hear that technology can actually help a lot.
Absolutely. What about the second one? Let's jump on to that.
Second one, that's right. So second one was with Bhavna Gautam, right? And again, a beautiful, inspiring story from Bhavna, where Bhavna, is passionate about writing, and she shared her life story about how she has used her passion for writing for influencing and impacting so many people. Now, Bhavna has got more than 1 million followers on different social media platforms, and she's doing a tremendous work to supporting and helping the society, especially during the COVID times.
I think when I look at Bhavna's episode, one thing that comes to my mind is the time management skills that she had got. you know I know she wakes up early as 4 a.m. in the morning, and very similar like me. And she started to write, and then she publishes into different social media channels, and then she's a full-time dentist too. That's so amazing. And more than that, she's a wonderful parent. So I think she manages her time pretty wisely, so that she compartmentalizes each of her elements so well. That's something for each of us to learn. Shall we go
Thanks,
on to the
Bhavna,
third?
for inspiring all of us.
Mm.
All right, let's move on to our episode three. The episode three was with Brandon Byrne. And Brandon Byrne is an angel investor and helping a lot of other startups as well. Okay. And this was an amazing episode.
Absolutely. And Brandon is the single most influential person, I would say, for us to start this podcast, because I wanted to learn a lot more about blogging, podcasting, and all that. And I reached out to him, and he said he was absolutely brilliant, because he replied immediately. I never thought he would, because of his caliber and the number of shows that he has done. It's more than 100, 200, and whatnot. It was so comfortable talking to him and all that. And that made me realize that even I can do this. And that's definitely something that I would thank Brandon, especially for kicking us the journey for us. And what else did we learn from Brandon, Nabi?
I think one of the things that Brandon said during the show is that your net worth is your network. And that's
Mhm.
really, really important. And he gave so many amazing tips, examples about successful startups and how you can, do networking and be successful at it. So, and the best thing is that when you're talking to Brandon, Brandon has got so much energy. So when you listen to the episode as well, like you would not even realize that, the episode is over. There's so much passion, energy coming out of it. So thanks, Brandon, and also for motivating us to, do our own startup, do our own podcast.
A magnetic person for sure. Okay, so let's move on to the fourth one.
The fourth one, we did an episode with Fabio, and we covered insight on AI virtual mixed reality concept. Now, one of the things that I remember from this particular episode is the story that Fabio shared about his childhood. And I want to share that today. So, Fabio told that when he was 7 years old, his mother told that you have a choice. Either you can get a bike or you can get a computer. And imagine you're a 7 years old kid, and this is such a tough choice for you to make. And Fabio decided to go for the computer. And then, as he said, rest is history. He got hooked onto computers, and he did his graduation in computers, and he's very successful today. So he's a professor at RMIT University. So that's a very, very interesting story that he shared during the podcast episode.
And one thing that I took away from Fabio's episode is the future of education, right? With obviously COVID and all that, we're all stuck at home and doing video conferencing, learning. It's a very, very difficult ask. And especially for students not interacting for quite a while, it's a very, very humongous task to understand what are they learning. Are they really learning and applying things? I think the future of education from his perspective was it's a blend between the classroom education and virtual education, and we are going to see that in future. I'm so excited for my children as well, and let's see what's in store.
That's great. All right, let's move on to the next one. Episode number 5 with Shawn Flynn.
This is one of the best episodes, I would say. I mean, first of all, it was so humbling for Sean Flynn to come and join us in the show, which is he's already a superstar in the Silicon Valley, and he's helping a lot of startups there. And for him to come onto the show, trusting us, and that's fantastic. And the way that he started his journey as well, for our listeners here, he went on to Costa Rica, outside his comfort zone, lived there for many, many years, and then jumped on to China. He spent a lot of time in China as well, knowing no one in the country, and without a job, and whatnot. So he's gone through that many, many times. And not only that, the number of lessons that he took in the China, he actually came back to the Silicon Valley and started applying it and started to help a lot of people, which is so amazing. And even today, is he helping out? Absolutely, yes, right, Abhi?
Yeah, absolutely. And Sean, thanks for being our mentor because we are learning a lot from you and you keep giving us so many amazing tips how we can improve our podcast. So thanks for all your support. And one other thing which Sean said during the interview, he said one of the key things that you need to do in your life is that you need to be fearless. You need to experiment and you need to ask people. Like a lot of time we don't go about asking people what we want, and that's a very simple, easy tip that need to apply in our life, and that could make a lot of difference to what we are and what we can achieve.
That's great.
All right, okay, let's move on to the next one.
This is
So
fascinating.
yeah, it's interesting. The next one is with Karthik, and we covered the topic reimagining corporate learning through power of play. And this is one of the most downloaded episodes for all the episodes that we have done so far. And with Karthik, Karthik shared very interesting insights about how humans learn, okay, and evolve. And your learning not it definitely starts when you're a child, but when you grow up, how your learning patterns change. And he spoke about gamification and how gamification can be used for learning, not just for kids, but for adults as well.
Absolutely. I mean, that's why you'd see a lot of emphasis is now given for games. And when you start learning uh, through games, it actually resonates so well. It's so practical. Robert Kiyosaki is also into gaming, and he's doing finances and education through gaming. And very, very similarly, COVID games are also very prevalent, and it was developed by Indian Institute of Technology in Madras, which Karthik did help a lot in terms of framing that. It's fascinating.
All right,
Mm.
okay, let's move on to the episode 7.
Prashant, thank you so much, Prashant, for being with us. It's one of the great privileges to have you again. You shared a lot of great insights, and the one that I actually liked a lot is on the linguistics, data analytics, and how AI is all correlated. That's it's a really fascinating story, because you started with linguistic, and then you went on to understanding the analytics and AI. And if you look at it, the way that humans and machines are actually getting interacting today is purely through language. And how can one master it? So first we need to understand the linguistics and then apply that to the machines. That's a great idea, and kudos to you. You have done it. And you also covered a lot of other insights. I would urge people to go and listen on to that. Is there anything special from your perspective, Abhi, you wanted to say?
So, Madhu, I just wanted to say this is such a special episode because there are so many gold nuggets that Prashant shared during this particular interview. And I've already, listened to this particular episode like 3, 4 times, and every time I hear it, I get some new insights coming out of it. And that's fascinating. And thanks, Prashant, for being there on our show. It was fantastic. All right. Okay. Let's move on to the next one because we are running against the time. So, Madhu, we have it's 13 minutes now. Okay. And
Okay.
now we're talking about episode number 8. 10 more to go after this.
Naishadh and Karalyn, thank you guys for coming onto the show. You guys have done a tremendous job in doing live sessions consecutively for more than 200 times. It's a no joke. And especially with COVID times, people are really struggling to get on to their jobs, keeping their jobs and finding new ones. They don't know what type of roles are going to be there in the market with ever changing technology and ever changing demand for the workforce. You guys have done a tremendous job in bringing a lot of educationists and also career people who can come and share their tips and tricks on how to get their jobs.
Yeah, it was just fascinating because I think what you've done is you've helped so many people who were impacted in 2020. They may have lost their job or they were looking at revamping their career, and they were getting so many great ideas and suggestions through your live sessions. And during our episode, we covered your life journey in terms of how you started this show, what benefits this show is providing to the audience, and some of your key learnings. So fantastic episode, and we had such a great time talking to them. All right. Thank you very much. Let's move on to the next one.
This is one of my again favorites. I keep saying everyone is my favorite, and Rishi is definitely he made a mark because he took it to the next level as far as this inspiring ideas is concerned, and some of the learning that he has got from his study in 3 AI Institute is not a joke. And how did he actually transition from one being a master chef? Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that was a very fascinating story which Rishi shared with us. Is that he started his journey and he was one of the top MasterChef Australia contestants, and from there he's like every 3 years he has revamped his career. He's done something new and he's keep challenging himself, and that's fantastic. So that was a great story for anyone who's looking at what they should do and how they should keep motivating themselves to reinvent themselves, especially post COVID. You should definitely listen to this particular episode.
100%. And the relationship between humans and machines. So he has done a master's of science course through 3 AI Institute. It's called Master of Cybernetics. And the way that he's actually articulating some of the thoughts and ideas is, who actually controls some of the machines and its respective decisions is very important, because it talks about the ethical considerations and the dilemma with which a decision is taking, which is going in favor of either the humans or machines. It's very important to have the right balance, and also the right decisions are taken, and something fascinating for everyone to listen and tune in, and how it impacts the government policies as well.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Let's move on to the next one. So next one, episode 10, is with Dheeren Velu, where we discuss about how leveraging artificial intelligence, especially for career growth. So that was a very interesting topic to discuss with Dheeren. Uh, Madhu, what's your view on this particular episode?
I think from my perspective, there's one thing that resonated a lot is be a camel and not a unicorn.
Yes.
That actually stays with me, because you need to have a startup that lasts, rather than do beautifully in one year and then go bankrupt in the other. So it's very important to understand that perspective. And the second element which I feel that I learned a lot from him is his contribution towards ICT. It's fabulous, because he's the ICT Professional of the Year 2018, and how he achieved it amongst all the fantastic list of people who were applicants on that particular year. He was explaining it so beautifully that anyone can actually do without a technical background. What did you
Yeah.
learn?
And I think one thing which I learned from this particular episode is that Dhiren spoke about that this emerging technology, as people who are working in technology can easily relate to it, and they can think they can build their career in this particular field. But he said, we also need a lot of domain experts, okay, from different fields to work and contribute towards these emerging technologies, because without them, we will not be able to implement, useful solutions or which will add value for the customers. So there is definitely a lot of opportunities. People are not from technology to look at career opportunities in emerging technology field. So that was a really very interesting insights from him.
Thank you, Dhiran, for being with us.
Thank you. All right, let's move on to episode number 11. This was with Wainab Chowdhury, a fascinating story of a young, successful CIO who started investing at the age of 15 and he became a CIO at the age of 19, Madhu.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely, and the maturity with which he explained some of the very complex concepts about investing, and how he started to learn, and even some of the things that he told about when he is traveling in the train with his friends, and everyone used to see Netflix and whatnot. Then he's the one who'll study about investing, and read about books, and also hear some of the podcasts on investing. That's so fascinating. And for his age, for his maturity levels, he has already started to mentor many people. I would strongly advise people to follow this episode, and also reach out to Lineup in case anyone needs help. He's a fantastic personality. I learned a lot from him.
Absolutely. One of the things that Vanup spoke about was about the importance of reading books,
Mhm.
and that is really, really critical. And I think he said that he reads every day about 100 pages or so, and he's been doing this for quite some time, and this has really helped him in his career. So that was really fascinating. Thanks, Vanup, for being in our show. All right, let's move on to episode number 12 with Dennis Rothman, where we spoke about human machines philosophy and whatnot. Now, before we talk about what happened in the episode, let me tell you, like, Dennis is like working in AI and emerging technology last 30, 40 years, and he's given so many interviews. And this was the most challenging episode for I and Madhu to prepare for because he's got so much knowledge and, he's given so many answers. So, what questions should we prepare? What should we ask Dennis? Okay, which could be very interesting for our audience. So yeah, it was very challenging to prepare those questions. And then during the episode, like it was one of the best episodes, and then it spoke about so many different things. And this episode, I think, went on for more than 1.5 hours or so. Initially, we just planned for 40 minutes. So that's the reason we have released part one of this particular episode, and we'll be releasing the part two very soon. And the part one, we discussed some amazing topics with Dennis about most importantly, the relationship between humans, machine, tools, okay, and how it has evolved over a period of time. And some of the problems that we associate with AI, they are not just problem with AI and humans. This has been there for last 10,000 years from the time man started using tools. So it was very fascinating, very interesting. I believe this episode is for anyone who wants to get a better understanding of what AI is, okay, and its relationship with humans. They should definitely listen to this particular episode.
That's a very, very good summary, Avi. I think one thing that I would love to add is he was very, very concretely saying that the humans' jobs will not be taken away, in the near future. So we all will have jobs. To our listeners, rest assured, we all will have jobs. We got to be like a chameleon, try to learn as much as possible, and be more pragmatic in terms of your learning. You will hit the goal.
Awesome, fantastic. That's a great summary. All right, moving on to episode 13 with Sangeeta Sumesh. And we covered a very important topic, which was how knowledge of finance impacts your career growth and startup success.
Absolutely. I think from a Sangeeta's episode standpoint, the one thing that stood out was her confidence, the communication, and the grit and determination that she had got right from her childhood. Even some of the examples that she talked about, even in her childhood, she had the aim to do higher up. When she was doing some kindergarten, she wanted to go to grade one, and fascinating. And she was working hard for it. So if you have got the right intention, and if you have got the grit and determination, anything is possible in terms of your achievement. That's something that I learned a lot. And the art of investing, very important, because money drives us on what we achieve in life. It's important to know what we are earning and how we are capitalizing and making it more 10x or 100x.
That's fantastic. That's and one more thing which Sangeeta spoke about is having importance of having a good mentor in your life, and
That's right.
that could be a key factor for you to achieve success. All right, we have 23 minutes. We got 7 more minutes, and so we talked about episode number 14 with John Thompson, and we spoke to him about power of data analytics, strategy, and implementation. And this again one of fantastic episode, and was great to have John on our show. And I remember one of the stories that John shared was about when he was looking at what's next in his career, and he was discussing with a couple of executives in the bank. And then after his discussion, they said, "Okay, you need to quit your job and you need to start your career all over again in technology." And John decided to do that. It was really brave of him to start his career all over again, but I think that really helped him a lot because he found his passion and he became really successful. And that shows that it's importance that we should always be introspecting and trying to see what we are interested in. We should keep questioning ourselves all the time, especially from a career perspective, and see what's important for us. And and there's sometimes you have to take tough calls in life, which like he did and became so successful.
That's very true. I think what I learned from John Thompson is the books that he has written. He has so lucidly explained the what is what in analytics. I was able to read it within 4 hours, and I was able to crack an interview within the analytics space, which is fantastic, right? And same is with the other book that he has just recently published on forming analytics teams. So that's such a fascinating topic, because you need to have technologies At the same time, you need to have subject matter experts who will need to gel well in terms of the business processes to make the technology work. Fascinating. Thank you, John.
All right, moving on to the next one, episode 15 with Sukumar and Kumaran, where you spoke about innovation and digital transformation for achieving 10x growth.
I think this is one of the good episodes where you spend more than hour and a half. And what we learned from Sukumar and Kumaran is innovation is not something that is so difficult. I mean, the word itself is we can really unpack it so lucidly. And then I remember Sukumar giving a good example of about the trim tab
Yeah.
that was actually used during the World War, where we had to, the soldiers had to turn the tides against the boat, and obviously trim tab came into picture and instantly resolved that issue. And similarly, if you look around, if you can see with curiosity and have a very simple solution to the problem, I think we will have tons of innovations. And some of the examples that they have quoted, please tune into that episode, my friends. It's so fascinating.
All
And
right.
thank you so much, Sukumar and Kumaran.
All right. Madhu, episode number 16.
Giuseppe, thank you again, Giuseppe, for coming onto the show. And the amount of knowledge that you have got within the data science space is so vast, and how easily that you actually correlated the concept of how human brain works and how it is actually related to the artificial intelligence is very fascinating, and neural networks. And what are the other things that he covered, Abhi?
I think we covered about what are the strategies for implementing AI or data science within your organizations.
Mm.
What you should be aware of. Where are the pitfalls and the challenges. So we covered all this, and I think he provided so many interesting examples during the session. And I think if anybody who is in a senior management or a middle management and look at implementing emerging technologies within their organization, they should definitely listen to this particular episode.
Beautiful. Thank you, Giuseppe.
All right, okay, moving on to episode number 17. This was with Saurabh and Preksha from Alpha AI, and we talked about empowering next billion uh, citizen data scientist. Okay, now this was a really special episode. Now, just behind the scene, it was very interesting. We were recording this episode, and there were so many technology issues. The internet was not working, and we were not sure whether we'll be able to record this particular episode or not. But somehow we were able to record this episode. It has turned out to be one of the best episodes that we have done. Uh, what really stood out for me in this particular episode is that Preksha and Saurabh spoke from their heart. They shared so many interesting stories, life stories, their struggles, their challenges, and all the hard work they've done for building up Alpha AI. It was just fascinating to hear all their stories. And again, we have just released part one of our conversations with them, and we'll be releasing part two very soon. But it was one. I really enjoyed this particular episode talking to both of them.
Very
Fantastic
similar.
personalities.
Very similar, Abhi. In fact, the technology and the solution that they are resolving is so good, and it's much, much needed. And similarly, their startup journey, that's a very good story to hear. Thank you, Saurabh. Thank you, Preksha.
Thank you. All right. The last episode, episode number 18 with Rita Arrigo, where we spoke about emerging technology and its impact on our life.
Yes. And Rita spoke about how she started the internet cafe, first internet cafe in Australia, in St Kilda. And that's so great. And also some of the examples that she gave with emerging technologies was so fascinating. The AR, VR, and how the structurally the building can be constructed with a complex structure, and also how it's actually changing the retail world. It's so good. And the tips and tricks on career opportunities on AI, and I think she went on and on with some great insights.
Yeah, and one thing which she's very passionate about, and she spoke about women in technology. Okay,
Mm.
and that was really very, very important. And she gave such amazing tips. And we even ask a lot of tough questions, especially around, how we are using technology for learning, especially for children. And she gave some amazing examples and real life examples she shared during that particular episode. So it was a fantastic episode. And we definitely would like everyone to go and listen to that particular episode.
Yeah, we
All
are
right,
done,
Madhu.
Abhi.
Madhu, we have done it in 29 minutes, 36 seconds. That's fantastic. We covered 18 episodes.
That's great.
What a journey it's been last 6 months.
Fantastic, fantastic. And I hope this learning continues. I would like to thank you as a co-host. You have done a tremendous job. The way that we have grown and our confidence and our communication. We were so nervous, so naive and all that. I think it's only going to improve, and we're still learning, and it is going to improve. I would like to thank all our listeners and also the communities in LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter and Instagram and whatnot. Thank you so much for helping us move forward and trusting us. It's been a fantastic episodes list of episodes that we have produced, and the guests, you guys have been tremendous. And I hope we are only going to continue to get even more fantastic guests in the coming months and years, and it will continue. And hope we are adding a lot to the community.
Absolutely. Thank Madhu for this amazing partnership. I think we definitely have a long way to go, but it was like like it was just crazy when I look back. Like we've done 18 episodes in last 6 months, and the kind of support that we got, we got more than 1,000 subscribers in LinkedIn and something similar in Facebook. What we are definitely looking for is and more feedback coming from everyone who's listening to this particular episode. We got lots of things that we are planning that to do it in next day. Like we started this new show which is Q&A with M&A. Do please provide your feedback about this show. We're going to come up with other new shows, and like the next 2021 is going to be a fantastic year for us and for everyone, and we just want to thank everyone for all your support and love. Thank you very much.
No doubt at all. Bye from Inspiring Ideas.
Take care, guys. Have a good one. Take care.